So, this happened last Thanksgiving, and I still can't wrap my head around it. My family lives in this old house out in the countryside. It's been in the family for years, and every Thanksgiving, we all gather there for dinner. It's a tradition, you know? But last year, something happened that none of us will ever forget. We were just sitting down to eat when there was a knock at the door. It was this man, tall, kind of thin, and wearing clothes that looked like he'd been living on the street for a while. He said he was traveling and smelled our cooking, and my mom, being the kind-hearted person she is, invited him in. The second he walked in, the room felt different. I can't explain it, but it was like all the warmth disappeared. He didn't say much, just stared at us with these hollow, empty eyes. When my dad tried to ask him where he was from, he just smiled and said, "I'm here for the feast." We tried to ignore it and went on with dinner, but then my brother Ben just collapsed. He was clutching his chest, gasping for air, and blood started pouring from his nose. The stranger didn't even flinch. He just sat there, smiling, and then he said, "One down." We all panicked. My mom screamed. My dad tried to call 911, but our phones were dead. Even the lights flickered and went out. The man stood up, and I swear, his shadow stretched across the entire room. He said, "You invited me in. Now it's my home." I don't remember much after that. Just screaming, crying, and then nothing. When I woke up, the house was empty. My family was gone. The table was still set, but the turkey was untouched, and on the wall, someone had written in blood, "Never invite the hungry in." I don't know who that man was or what he wanted, but I'll never celebrate Thanksgiving again. You ever feel like you made a mistake but didn't realize it until it was too late? That's what happened to us last Thanksgiving. My family always rents a cabin for the holiday, but this time, we picked one that had been abandoned for years. We thought it would be fun, you know, peaceful, but it was anything but. The first weird thing happened while we were cooking the turkey. My little sister found this old knife stuck in the kitchen wall. It was rusty and had dried blood on it. My dad laughed it off, saying it was probably from some hunter years ago, but my mom looked really uncomfortable. That night, as we were eating, we heard footsteps on the roof. My dad went outside to check, but he didn't find anything. When he came back in, though, he looked pale. "It's probably just raccoons," he said, but I could tell he didn't believe that. Then the windows started fogging up. That wouldn't be weird except it wasn't cold. And on the fogged-up glass, we saw handprints. Small, childlike handprints. But here's the thing. There weren't any kids with us. We tried to leave, but the door wouldn't open. Then we saw it. At the far end of the table, there was a figure. It looked like a child, but its eyes were just gone. Empty sockets. It started whispering, but none of us could understand what it was saying. My mom collapsed right there at the table. My dad told us to hide, and I ended up in the closet with my sister. We heard screaming, banging, and then silence. When we finally came out, the cabin was empty. The table was still set, but everyone else was gone. There was a message carved into the wood. "They ate in my house. Now I eat them." I don't know what that thing was, but we should have never gone to that cabin. I know how crazy this is going to sound, but my neighbors, the Thompsons, were dead. And yet, last Thanksgiving, I swear, I saw them sitting at their table. They had died weeks earlier in a car accident. It was all over the news. But on Thanksgiving night, I saw lights on in their house. I thought maybe a relative had come by to clean up, but curiosity got the better of me, and I went to check it out. When I knocked, the door just opened, and there they were, all 5 of them, sitting at the dining table like nothing had happened. They looked off. Their skin was grayish, and their eyes were cloudy, but they were smiling, like they were happy to see me. "Come in," the mom said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I tried to leave, but the door slammed shut behind me. They made me sit down at the table. The food was rancid, like rotten to the core. There were maggots crawling in the mashed potatoes, but they were eating it like it was a gourmet meal. The dad looked at me and said, "You haven't touched your food." His voice wasn't normal. It was deep and raspy, like it was coming from somewhere else. When I tried to stand, they grabbed me. Their hands were ice cold, and I swear, I could feel something crawling under their skin. The last thing I remember is the mom leaning in close and whispering, "We always need one more guest." When I woke up, I was outside, lying on their front lawn. The house was dark again, and the Thompsons were gone. But every now and then, I dream about them, and in the dream, I'm sitting at their table, eating that rotten food.